Number of successes, PFS. Ken Strauss is here, a longtime PFSer and someone who's been very involved in that committee. PFS has never been able to, it's the oldest credentialty institute and the largest, but we've never been able as an institute to take somebody who had an interest in personal financial services and say, we can we can get you there. Starting in November this year, when the new program rolls out, we'll for once and all ever be able to take somebody and move them through the process to get them their credential. And that was a nice move. Private Companies Practice Section, if you haven't looked at it in a while, I don't know if they're here at the show or not with their booth. I think they were they were in May for sure. They will, this toolkit, and Ron knows this one, I mean, these guys are so active, it's just incredible. The human capital piece alone is worth every bit of your membership at Private Companies Practice Section. That toolkit in the human capital is being used, I can't tell you by how many large firms outside the Big Four, but I mean firms right below the Big Four have adopted it. It's able to be adopted and modified slightly for anybody. It saves, if you were to try to duplicate it, it would cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars of legal and HR work. And firms just love it. I say it's a tremendous tool, and if you haven't looked at it, you owe it to yourself to go out and look at it. Succession planning, we know what's happening with the aging of the profession. Succession planning is the #1 topic at a lot of firms within partner groups, how it's going to occur. There's a lot of great tools there in the succession planning, including those who say, my succession plan is to retire. There's also that, and not have someone else buy it. It'll lead you through what you can do with your clients. I mean, it covers all gamuts of succession planning. It's not just about a partner just below you coming up and things like that. Likewise, PCPS provides great technical guidance, clearly the peer review, which is what their roots were in the old days, back when I was on the committee 20-some years ago. And then, of course, in the areas of crisis response and working with the SBA, they've been just tremendous. A couple of just highlights from their survey. These were the 09 top issues with the sole practitioners. Just kind of follow through here and see what's happening. This is everyone. This was an interesting. Client retention for the first time made the top 5, obviously with the economy, because we're seeing a lot of downward pressure on fees. We're seeing a lot of downward pressure of firms coming back down into groups they had not been in previously, which works its way all the way down through the chain of clients. Clearly, anytime there's an economic recession, partner accountability jumps right up there. It was not before this, had not been there, but every time something goes wrong and the firm doesn't grow, or it's not growing as fast, or it's going downward, the first thing people do, of course, is look at their other partner and say, must be your fault, couldn't be mine. So partner accountability is becoming big. Obviously, succession planning. Staffing is the first time it's never been the top 1 in about the last 15 years. I can't understand that, since everybody can now get staff for the first time in 20 years. It's going on to our next generation. 2 new things to continue. We've worked very hard, and of course, it's like perfect storm. Just as we've got the total numbers up of people coming into the profession, all of a sudden we have no great need for them. So a couple of numbers I've heard. I don't know if there's any great statistics on this anywhere. The best number I've gotten is 20% of the students who come out of school this year are going to be hired into the firms. That number is much lower, obviously, than in prior years. But I don't have the corporate numbers yet, and I don't know if we'll ever really have great numbers. I know AAA works on those kind of things. The 2 new student outreach programs, and the FICPA has always been very active here in getting out into the high schools and talking to students. But at the nationwide level, Monster, making it our partnership with Monster, has been tremendous. We expect about 10,000 presentations per year, 1 million students touched per year. See Where You Can Go now is the new website that we're using. It'll let you build your own career, looking at all the options within the profession. And I just had a chance to spend an hour with 30 students the other day, which is my most fun thing I really get to do as I go around is meet with students. And the great part is that they're not giving up just because it's a bad economy, #1. They're very curious as to how they can get into other things, what they can do before they go into work for firms, because they realize there may not be jobs for them this year. But the one thing is that they all are so invigorated, and we don't want to lose this group. They're just such a bright, energetic group. It's so much fun to listen to them and hear what they have to say. But these are all tools that we use for them, and they just love this stuff. Domestic CPA exam, as I said, 86,000 examinees registered for 247,000 sections. It's the highest number. Satisfaction rate with the exam, 97%. I can't tell you that when I took the paper exam I was ever satisfied with it. So, I mean, I don't know what satisfaction with the exam means. I will tell you that there was only 2 or 3 failures of the electronics to work. And people would have to retake. That's too high for us. However, I will tell you, when people go, you know, that's what happens, you go to that electronic system and you could lose it. Well, let me tell you what used to happen when it was paper. Far more got lost per year when one time we had an airplane crash with the exams on board from one state. There was always, boxes got offloaded on the way to the AICPA to be graded, and the box disappeared. So things like that happen. So it's not just because we had a few exams electronically it was bad. It's actually far more positive than we were in paper. We had the 1 millionth exam, but of course because of privacy we couldn't realize and recognize who the person was or do anything for them. We wanted to give the person something for being the 1 millionth person to be tested on the electronic system. ADS, I bring this one up because Kathy and the Florida Board, Florida Institute, were just wonderful here. The Accounting Doctoral Scholarship Program is huge. This is an effort on the part of the profession. The response has been tremendous by all the firms to bring in new doctoral students. Most people don't realize, and I don't have time this morning or I'd go through my usual poll with the group, but most people think it's about a 2 or 3 year process to get your doctorate. It's a 6-year process. So next time you see a CPA who's involved with the university, who's a professor, and has their doctorate, thank them. Because that's 6 long years after you get your master's degree to become a doctor. It's not 2 years on beyond your bachelor degree. Thank them for the amount of effort they've put in to get there. But of course what was happening, it was an aging profession. And we were going to have a shortage. When you have a shortage, what happens? You start losing programs. You've got to have the doctors to have the program. So it's a critical program. 16.4, it's actually 16.7 now, has been contributed. FICPA, both through the Institute and through its foundation, have given $100,000. It's the largest, I believe, of the state contributions. We should be very proud of the state of Florida. Certainly the big 4 firms gave their inordinate share to get to this $16 million for, but also the 70 top largest firms, most all have given. There's a lot more to go. This will take us through 5 years of starting students. So the students that started this year, all 6 years of theirs is paid for. And out the 5 years, those next 6 years. But we want to continue to grow this. We've got to keep building it up so that we have enough money to keep this program going. We picked 30 this year, and these are all new doctorates. These are new doctorates who are, number one, CPAs, and they're going to have to agree to stay and teach in a U.S. school. So they're not someone who's going to get their doctorate and go off somewhere else, which is what had been happening. And they're all new positions. The schools, in order to be a part of this program, had to agree to increase by 1 at least in order to get the money. They had to increase by 1 the number of new doctoral candidates they were processing. So you just couldn't replace one you already were getting. These are all new doctoral students. AICPA Leadership Academy was started by this year's chairman, Ernie Almonte. I'll be continuing it and expanding on it a little bit. But the whole process was to bring diversity and youth into the AICPA and FICPA by developing future leaders. To right again, if you look around the room, you'll find there's very little diversity in any CPA group, and this is one of the ways to help combat that. You'll also notice there's a lack of people here under 35. If I could have everybody under 35 raise their hand. 1, 2. Yeah, certainly the minority. I will tell you, when I made my committee appointments this year, 98% of the AICPA committees now have somebody that are 35 for the first time ever. Many have more than that, and the number under 40 is higher than ever. Why? Because we have to. Unfortunately, you get to an AICPA committee and I look around and everybody looks like me. So we got to stop that stuff. We got to get people involved when they're younger, and we've got to get people there who want to be involved in the future. As I close, I will tell you one thing. Same thing I said when I started. The profession is strong. We're well recognized. We've not taken the hits in the paper we took back during the Enron crisis, and we should be very proud of our profession right now. Yes, it's a tough economic year. There's no question, but we've gotten through it unscathed so far, and I believe that it will continue. These are the issues that I'm more than happy to take questions on, and these are the issues that we are looking at every day at the Institute, and people are assigned to doing nothing but that. In closing, if I can ever help you, please write me. It's a simple email address. Don't bother. I do tweet, but don't ask me questions on tweeting. I do know how to tweet now. It's something I've learned in the last 2 months. But rharris@aicpa.org. If I don't know the answer, I promise I will get it to you within 2 days.